And hello, everybody. What is going on? This is Xbox Ultimate Podcast, episode number 195. Yeah, we're 5 away from 200 now. And as you can see, this is going to be a little bit different episode because none of the regular guys are here. Pong's busy. Psycho is probably on the way home from work or either that or on an acid trip. I'm not quite sure what he's up to. 3-Bit's still doing an interview over on his channel right now, I believe, doing an awesome interview with a writer of a book. So I recommend everybody go check out 3-Bit's channel as well. Fuzzy's at a horror show as well. Jasper's still in space camp. So it's just a crazy time right now with everybody being kind of busy, but it's okay because we have a couple awesome guests tonight, and this is kind of going to be a Call of Duty heavy episode tonight, and there's been a lot of updates on kind of a lot of the content coming out for COD. So guess what? We got two big time Call of Duty people here. One of them is familiar with the community, been around the podcasting community and the chats and everything for a while, but he's also been on the other side of things with development and stuff like that. So I want to say hello to Brandon Martin. What's up, dude? And tell everybody a little bit about you and what you got going on.
Hi, I'm Brandon, and I'm a diehard Call of Duty fan. And I've worked on the two last Call of Duties. I helped optimize them for PC, PS5, and then on the series consoles. And now I'm just taking kind of a break from gaming because I'm back in college right now, getting a criminal justice degree. So
Right
just
on.
kind of just now I'm just the nerd enjoying games now.
So what makes you go from game development to criminal justice?
Um, I was recruited out of so the story is I was recruited after high school for the agency
Oh,
for the
okay.
government, and I worked there for 6 years, and then when I met my wife I got out, and I went to school, and when I was in school I started meeting some people in the gaming industry, started doing that for a while, and then after a while I just felt like I just wanted to go back to what I'm good at. So I'm getting back into the criminals stuff, and then I'm going to be getting an internship with NCIS pretty soon.
Oh, dang. So you're like another Jasper, kind of. Just like one of those really intelligent, crazy, smart people that's also really good at video games and happens to play a lot of shooters.
Yeah, I would say so. Kind of like a Jasper. I'm just not with Space Force.
Yeah, no, I got you. No, that's great, man. It's good to have you here. This is your first time on a podcast, also. So
Yeah.
it's awesome to meet people from the community. We played some Call of Duty like a week or two ago. And yeah, you were top of the leaderboards like every freaking game. So but just like Calorie's kind of the same way. And he is here as well, another big time Call of Duty guy. And been on our show. I can't remember if it's been once or twice. Calorie, you've been here a couple times, I think.
Yeah,
Um,
probably a couple times.
yeah, and big time in the community. You've done writing before for Windows Central and stuff like that as well. But yeah, what's up, man? How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I'd say crime is just on the way up, so you probably have more job security doing that than doing video game development. But yeah, excited to be here. Yeah, I'm a mod in this channel. I'm in all the other shows, and I did do some contribution writing work for Windows Central in the last year, so for about 6 months. If you want to read my writing, it's all over their website. But glad to be here.
Yeah, cool, man. So you've been playing Midnight Suns? We were talking a little bit about that before.
Yeah, man, Deadpool and Wolverine. I'm such a loser. I went and saw it twice by myself because my wife has to stay home with the kids. But it just got me on that Marvel kick. Came home, played like the 2013 Deadpool game. I played like halfway through it, so I just finished that up, and it was awesome, pretty funny. Glad I had it digitally because I guess the physical copies are like $300 now. And then I was like, what other Marvel games do I have? And Midnight Suns had it physically over here.
Yeah.
And the season pass is like $15 right now on sale. So I bought that and got all the extra characters, and I've just been playing it like 10 hours a day every day this week. And yeah, I think I'm on the last chapter now, so
Yeah.
a very addicting game. I'm sad that it's probably like the end of Firaxis Marvel. stuff.
Yeah, that was like that game. We've been singing the praises here for a long time, ever since it came out, and it's on sale. Like every time you see like a big game sale on the storefronts or whatever, somebody always has it, and it's either like the legendary edition for like $20 or $25 or something like that, something crazy. And it's keep recommending it because it's one of those games where when it was originally announced, we were like, "Oh, Midnight Suns, it's going to be like XCOM meets Marvel." Then they revealed more of it, and it was like this card game, and we're like, it's not really what we wanted. So we kind of got turned off. But then more and more led up to development. They kept showing more things. It had been delayed, and then they kind of changed a couple things. They added some more to it. And then you've started to find out about all the other stuff in the game, like the world building, the hub area, kind of like the grounds that you navigate through. And it just like was like, okay, this game's actually really damn cool. And so we were all day one here. Like Pong got it, I got it, some other people got it too. Lord Cognito has been singing the praises since launch, also over on the Iron Lords, and the game just didn't sell like at all. You know, the the lead developer ended up moving on, starting a different studio, I believe. But that game is one of the most underappreciated, underrated RPG / tactics or whatever you want to call it games, I think, in the last decade for sure. And it's so original and unique. So anytime the next time you see Midnight Suns on sale, if you like any kind of strategy games, if you like any kind of tactics games, if you like RPGs, any of those genres, I'd highly recommend it. It's one that deserves to be played.
I think Epic Games Store gave it away for free once, because I'm pretty sure it's in my library there. But the exploration, it feels like Hogwarts Legacy to me. Like hit those same dopamine hits. And then I got a much bigger respect for the game when I listened to the Iron Lords podcast with Jake Solomon, the director of the game that left. Just definitely opened up my eyes to how much love went into it. So I'm enjoying it a lot. And like, I think I talked about this yesterday in the chat, but hearing people say that there's no good games this generation, it's just boils my blood a little bit.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense because we went from everybody kind of unanimously saying 2023 was the greatest year ever in gaming, right? To where we were in like February or March this year, and everybody's like, oh, this is like the worst generation ever in gaming. This is like the worst. We're in a rut and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, how did we go from everybody having a consensus on the best year ever to all of a sudden just a couple months later saying that gaming is dying, there's this big rut, there's nothing to play, all this other kind of stuff? I'm like, people have such short attention spans and forget everything so quick and just ride this roller coaster of current topics and news that man, there's such a huge back catalog. And if I had looked through my library of the games that I haven't finished, it is like insanely daunting to even think about the amount of games that I want to play. And that becomes more of a detriment because I don't, my biggest problem is I don't know what to play when I want to play it. Like it's just, there's just too much. Like Midnight Suns, I haven't finished that yet. I'm like maybe 3/4 of the way through. But there's so many other things. Like I'm just hooked on college football right now, you know?
I'll give you an Xbox ecosystem win for this one. So Midnight Suns, I own it physically on a disc, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm like, I don't want to play it on my TV because I just feel like playing it somewhere else. So I hooked my Series S up to like my computer station, and I went to go play it. I'm like, oh crap, I need the disc. And I was like, well, how else can I play this? So I grabbed my ROG Ally and I just went and laid in bed and like console streamed it to my ROG Ally. But I mean, I guess they have the PlayStation Portal now, but it's just nice to have options, man.
Yeah. I do console streaming on my tablet like every night in bed. Pretty much.
Yeah.
That's how I'm playing probably 50% of the time right now. And it's a really good experience. But both of you guys have thousands of hours into Call of Duty. I think Brandon, you had like 4,000 hours in Modern Warfare 3, something like that.
I think I just got up to like 1,500.
Oh, okay. Was like,
I was gonna say 4,000. Holy crap!
I'm getting you confused with Fuzzy and GT7, I think. No, that's but still like 1,500 hours. That's quite a bit, man. And I think you were like, what was your level on there when we were playing the other day? It was like hundreds.
650?
Yeah. So and I was like a measly like level 60 something, I think, somewhere around there. But yeah, like you guys are both kind of really in touch with everything that's been going on with Call of Duty and kind of the community sentiments as well. So it's kind of one of the reasons I got both of you here. Yeah, I was talking to Pong last night. You happened to mention in the chat, Brandon, about hey, I got thoughts on Call of Duty and stuff. I was like, hey, you know what, like let's go. And then I reached out to Calarie today too. So yeah, I kind of wanted to have a bigger Call of Duty episode. And yesterday, we got reveal trailer for the zombies, round-based zombies mode, which is a big thing for the Call of Duty community. A lot of people are really excited about that. I saw mostly positive reactions from the community about the trailer and what's been there. And you kind of, I guess, have seen being involved with development a little bit, Brandon, like a different side of the community from that perspective and people's reactions and what the other devs are saying and all this other kind of stuff. But like, what are your expectations for overall this Call of Duty? Do you think like this is going to be one that is kind of a step above the rest with bringing a lot of the community excitement?
I do. Like, I have this feeling that this next Call of Duty is going to be like what Call of Duty 4 did. Just bring up
Like
like, the
Call of
next Call
Duty,
of Duty generation.
talking about Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare.
You know how when that
Right.
came out, how it just reinvented the series?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's my favorite COD personally.
Mhm. I
Um,
think that Black Ops 6 is going to do it because of they're kind of going back into what made COD so good, but they're actually like upping it a little bit. So think of like the Omni movement. That is really unique, and it's so smart to bring that in because it makes it more fluid playing a first person shooter than kind of heavy because you want to feel more elusive when you're in the military because you can do more tactical stuff and moving around and stuff, and that's kind of awesome to bring that to Call of Duty. Gonna make it
Yeah.
feel very smooth and just more, I think gives more people ability to play it rather than just getting, their ass kicked in the game. It feels like they get more easy access to play it.
right. I hear taglines used for games all the time about like, sports games do it a lot. Like Madden has this year, boom tech, like it's just all these other kind of things. And like Call of Duty this time had Omni movement, right? And they showed it off numerous times. But this is one that like I've heard numerous times, and anybody involved with the Call of Duty community is like, there's genuine, actual excitement about this tagline, Omni movement, where they actually feel like this is going to be a game changer for the game and not just some kind of gimmicky thing, right? So, are you sensing the same thing, Calorie?
Yeah, I think the Omni movement is like the biggest change that's happened to Call of Duty in a while. Um, Obviously the leaked footage is out for the PS4 like builds. We don't need to talk about like spoilers or anything if people don't want to hear about it. But if you watch some of the videos, I saw one earlier of a guy, he like dived off a third story balcony and turned around and then sniped somebody in the air like quick scoped while he's falling through the air. And it's basically like John Woo's Stranglehold from 2006, but in Call of Duty.
Right.
Um, and that's a huge deal changer. But what people probably aren't thinking about yet is all of this movement and all of these changes should be coming to the Warzone update that comes probably around Christmas time. That's usually when they do Warzone changes, and that's gonna be like we were talking about. It's gonna be basically like Modern Warfare 4 meets like Black Ops 2 meets when Blackout came out. That should be the excitement I feel like around the next Call of Duty because there's just going to be enough new things. It's going to be in Game Pass. You're going to have a huge flood of maybe people that didn't play it, and like we were saying, like younger people as well, that might be getting to it the first time. So I think it's a big deal, and I'm a huge professional Call of Duty fan, like esports, and just thinking what they're going to be able to do with that and the plays that they're making, and then that disseminate down to the really good players. I'm excited. I think it's a big change and not a lot of games have that kind of movement. There's a few, but it's good to see it in Call of Duty, and I think it'll spread out to a lot of other shooters, just like everything always does.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I see it. I mean, everybody keeps talking about it. Yeah, I'm excited about the Omni movement. I'm excited about the Omni movement. And I'm like, this tagline phrase, and it really caught on with the Call of Duty community. Like, and it seems like it's more of a legitimate thing, like where people are actually genuinely excited about it. It's where it's actually kind of a game changer. So for me, whenever I hear those things or see it, I just kind of want to feel it and experience it before like I get too excited or anything. Because we've had different movements in Call of Duties before, like Advanced Warfare and or what was it, the Infinite what was
Infinite
it?
Warfare.
Yeah, Infinite Warfare too. Yeah, they had like the wall running and the boost and all that kind of stuff too. So like
Double jump and all that.
yeah, they had interesting things that really changed movement before. But I personally, for those, I wasn't a big fan of in those games, right? Because like I wanted more of the grounded, normal feeling for Call of Duty. I didn't want to play like Titanfall when I'm playing COD or like or Halo or like Call of Duty. I wanted that more grounded experience. But there's a lot of people that were fans of that stuff, But with this, it seems more grounded in reality and kind of just more of a fluid thing. But it could add for a lot of crazy moments as well, from what I've seen from the trailers and people just diving around or like rolling around on their backs and crazy shit like that. Just I could imagine the corner camping situations though as well, being a little bit different and awkward with some of this stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see how it works. But I think Black Ops and Treyarch have always been one of the premier Call of Duty developers, and they've had 4 years now to develop this game. And with 4 years under their belt now to really kind of step their game up from Cold War, this, I do feel like you guys are right that this is kind of like that moment where Call of Duty kind of, as big as it's always been, as big as it is, still finds a way to transcend to another little bit of a level here, and bring that excitement back to where it's like, hey, this is COD, this is like number one game, and maybe Game Pass has a little bit of an effect with that. There is 30 plus Game Pass subscribers. There's be a lot of people that would have bought Call of Duty that already have Game Pass, so may not buy it, but there's been a lot of Game Pass subscribers that are going to give Call of Duty a try, that have kind of been burned out on the franchise or decided to move on to other things that haven't been played before. Because of Game Pass and because of the excitement around Black Ops 6, I kind of feel like this might be the most played and biggest launch ever also for COD. And what do you think? You think that's on the money, Brandon, or you think I'm reaching?
No, I think you are on the money. It's just Game Pass is such a unique thing for Call of Duty because you've never seen a game like this, hit the service. And it's going to be like a cool test to see, but I do believe it's going to be huge, is because you got to think about it. We're kind of in a recession right now. People are tight on money. And it's like, would you rather pay $70 for a game or pay $20 and, you get like Call of Duty and all these games? And I think there's going to be a lot of people who are going to go to Game Pass and probably going to leave their old consoles and go to it because it's about saving money and it's a good game. So Microsoft's going to see that nice hit of finally having a damn good quality like game in there finally. Like I know they have some, but it'd be good to have like Call of Duty in there that's actually a good Call of Duty. And then they'll get a lot of subscribers for it.
It seems like this is hitting the money on each of the modes too so far. Like the campaign fans are excited, the multiplayer fans are excited, the zombie fans are excited, right? And it maybe the leaks. I was talking about this with Pong a little bit, but there was a lot of leaks for this COD. There was a lot of footage that was shown from a supposed PS4 early version of a PS4 copy or something like that. So there's some maps that were being shown, some of the Omni movement stuff was being shown, and all that kind of stuff. But even those leaks, it seems like there's general kind of excitement from what people saw there from the Call of Duty community as well. So It maybe because they're hitting on all marks for like what the community's been asking for. There's not like this kind of outcry of like, oh, this sucks. They're changing this or they're changing that. Seems like all the changes kind of are for the better this time, bringing things back to what people wanted.
Yeah, the biggest one everyone wanted back was Prestige, that
Mm-hmm.
old-fashioned Prestige. So when you hit like level 55, you start over, but you get to pick like, one weapon you want, one perk or one weapon you want to keep, and then you just start all over. It's kind of nice to have that back because it feels good to start over because it feels like you're working for something rather than, oh, I'm just
Yeah.
working for this sticker in like level 670. It makes it feel good to go back and work for something. And I like how Treyarch is sticking to their guns of like, no, we're going to give what COD fans want, and we're going to change some things for the better good. Well, it's a good change.
Yeah.
And I just like Treyarch because I feel like they're just like those Call of Duty developers that actually listen to the fans, not by, oh, this is what we want to do. Let's give the people that play the game and give them what they want.
Refuse to put the red dots on the maps. Yeah.
Exactly.
One of my favorite things was actually like wasn't a Treyarch one, and I think it was at World at War, the Call of Duty, the one after Modern Warfare 4.
That was World at War, and that was Treyarch.
Yeah, World
Yeah.
at War.
Okay,
Mhm.
remember the campaign where they had the co-op mode with the scoring system and stuff on there?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, that was fun as shit. I don't know why, but that one mode is like I always wish they would bring back or something to like a campaign, just because it was over the top and fun and gave a lot of replayability to the campaign. But
Mhm.
anyway, just throwing that out there, Treyarch, in case you're listening. I don't see anybody else ever outcrying for that to come back, but it's something I'd like to see. I got a question for you guys. I don't know if y'all have been paying attention, but because I haven't been with this, but the gun leveling. Have they dove into this? Is it kind of like they've been doing with the Modern Warfare games, or is it they going back to kind of the way they used to do it?
What I saw, it looks like it's the same. It's like Modern Warfare. You're just gonna have like a million attachments, and you'll level up the guns.
So
But
the Modern Warfare has like, okay, you have your like base like your base
yeah,
model of a gun, then you have
Mhm.
different variations of it, right? So you'll have like a Lockman, right? Then you'll have like a SMG version, a battle rifle version, or whatever, and like you have to level up the base version a certain amount to unlock the other variations, and then somehow all the XP's kind of like connected and all this other kind of
I
shit.
remember that.
I hate that. I absolutely
Yeah,
freaking hate it. I hope they change it. I don't know, but
I I don't think that there's been any leaks about that yet, but based on the weapon leak list, it's not that many weapons. So I would think they're not doing that, but
okay,
I don't know for sure.
yeah. It's just
It's not that many weapons, so
yeah. Black Ops has been one that has been always more about the running and gun a little bit more. I say that, but when I play Modern Warfare now, that's all it feels like too these days. It's just people
yeah,
running
I
around
don't
like
know
crazy.
if you've so the leaks are like not just one leak. It's like if you have a hacked PS4, you can go download the uh the leak that got out and play online with people. So you can go on YouTube and just watch full matches of the game. And the gameplay looks a lot like what was that toy soldier game that came out on Xbox?
There's
Oh,
choice.
Hypercharge?
Yeah, it almost looks as arcadey as Hypercharge to me. It's very arcadey looking, which is I think fun because I just want a fun arcadey game. But they're really having a perfect storm, right? The leaks are building up hype. All the stuff coming out is really good. It's going to be in Game Pass. And really, are there any good shooters coming out this year? I can't think of any. Concord's not going to
Um,
compete.
Delta Force is a good one. I've been playing that. Like, I think it'll be a good competition to Call of Duty, but we just know Call of Duty is just gonna dominate everything.
Yeah, there's no Battlefield, there's no Halo, there's nothing big
Yeah.
that normally they'd have to worry about. So I just think it is probably gonna be their best game. They had 4 years to prepare for it. I mean, kind of. They basically had to like build Modern Warfare 3 and build the World War II game because Sledgehammer couldn't cut it. But yeah, it's been I'm excited for what's coming out. But yeah, I hated that in Modern Warfare 3 too. It was like level this level weapon to 14 and then go do these challenges to unlock this other weapon. I was like, this
Yeah,
is
I
dumb.
just like, because if you prefer just using like LMGs or something like that, like you kind of have to go use something else, right? In order to get, and I just never really liked how that system worked. But overall, like I think Cold War had a really good system for how they were doing things. So I'm kind of hoping they kind of just stick to that. I don't know what if they've announced anything for like their bigger, because Cold War had like, was it Ground Wars or something like that? It was like the bigger like Battlefield-ish kind of game mode and stuff like that. So I don't know if they've revealed any of that kind of stuff yet, or if they're even going that route. But yeah, the last best Call of Duty for me, besides Modern Warfare 2, was Cold War. Only issue I had with that was around launch time of these consoles, and for some reason I just had a lot of crashing issues with Cold War. But other than that, like that was a fantastic game. So 4 years later, do y'all think, like, this is one thing I want to kind of get into is the development cycle, right? Because this is now, Call of Duty is under Microsoft, right? The Microsoft has control ultimately on what Activision Blizzard does, right? The Game Pass effect will take hold somewhat here. Xbox is going to try and market the heck out of this to make it synonymous with that. Is this the time where we switch to 2-year release patterns with expansions in between? Or do we think they're going to go still maintain a full release every year? And maybe I'll go to Brandon first on that. Like, I don't know if you have inside stuff that you can't share, that's fine. But
I can share some details. What I know is from working in there, the people that I know is they're probably going to be going to, game comes out next year will just be like an expansion, year one release, and then the next year after that will be like the new Call of Duty, just trying to give these teams more time to develop, create more ideas, and just give more time for these Call of Duties, because the 4 years is just going to show,
right,
what this game can do. Because like Modern Warfare 3 was supposed to be an expansion, but only thing I can tell you is some executives didn't want to do it because they wanted to get one more payout before they're under, the Xbox umbrella. So, because they want to start taking more breaks just to give more development time, because you want this franchise to continue. The only way to continue is you need to give these teams more time to come up with new stuff.
yeah.
And I believe they're going to do it, what I know, but we all know with higher ups, things can change.
Yeah.
But I think they're going to do it, because I know next year is, there's some leaks going out, is it's going to be a Black Ops 2 sequel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's kind of like, Black Ops 2 Part 2. So it's going to be like the true sequel to Black Ops 2 is what I've been hearing, what I know. So that'll kind of give more time to give like Sledgehammer and an Infinity Ward to create the games that they have coming out, because they need a little more time because they're kind of going back to their old games.
Right. See, I think it would be like cool, like, okay, so Infinity Ward, Treyarch, each of them does 4 years cycles, right? And then Sledgehammer fills in the gaps with 2-year expansion, development cycle expansions. You know what I mean? Maybe like a little bit of collaboration between the teams or whatever, with Sledgehammer leading the way. Every 2 years they have some kind of like 1.5 version of whatever game came out the previous year. So that would allow Treyarch 4 years. That would allow Infinity Ward 4 years. And then Sledgehammer would be on the 2-year cycle, but for smaller amount of content. Right? So just to kind of keep the game fresh, and it would kind of cement, Infinity Ward and Treyarch still as the two primary developers. And then it'd be every 2 years you get a big release. That would build up more of the excitement for those, because you'd also feel, I think, a bigger improvement with each game because each one has had that 4 years, right?
Mhm.
So,
I I think Sledgehammer should be like the just the helping hand like Raven, because I think Sledgehammer's kind of lost their way a little bit.
I don't know
You
if they've
know,
ever had
you
their
look at
way.
um MW, like they helped out with Modern Warfare 3,
Right.
the old one.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
was
yeah.
cool. And
I like
I did
Advanced
like
Warfare.
Advanced Warfare was actually pretty cool
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
unique. And after Advanced Warfare, they wanted to make Advanced Warfare 2, but fans were kind of getting tired of that futuristic. So, like, all right, let's just go back to World War II. And that one was okay. I thought it was decent, but then they came out with Vanguard, and I thought that was a pile of trash. It was not that great.
That's the only one.
And I think
That's the only Call of Duty I have not bought. Like in the history of the Call of Duty franchise, dating all the way back, Vanguard.
I would.
I did not buy it because I played the beta, and I was like appalled, like at what I had played. I understand it was a beta and it was like early, but even because I had played all the other betas too, before that, and just from my experience of like all what I would expect from a Call of Duty game, playing that beta, I was like, something is wrong with this game, right? And I just stayed away from it. And I'll play it eventually when it hits Game Pass. I know it will at some point, just so I can play through the campaign and kind of give it a go. But that one was like, I don't know. It just like kind of, it seemed like they just put out a bad product, you know?
They did, and I kind of hope what they do is flip it. Make change Raven and Sledgehammer. Like I would like to see Raven make their own Call of Duty. Their version.
Yeah.
Maybe see what ideas they have, and just make Sledgehammer like the hope developer. Hey, we're gonna help this game and that's this one, because I just think Sledgehammer's just doesn't make good Call of Duties anymore, and I think they're
Right.
just be good to have a co-developer and maybe give Raven that opportunity to let's see what you got.
Yeah. And we'll see what they do with Warzone as well, man. Like with this, like I mean, Warzone's hugely popular still. I kind of think one thing that'd be cool is if they took the open world zombies concept that they did with Modern Warfare 3 and kind of throw it in and be an expansion or like a part of Warzone as well, to keep it like an ongoing thing where you can like more of a free to play experience. Um,
Yeah.
Mode of Warzone, yeah.
because you're taking the Warzone map essentially is what you're doing, right? So that would always keep it fresh with every year when they do the big Warzone update, and you could have a new variation of it, and it give people other things to use their skins for, and other things to want to buy skins for, and kind of have more of that PvE experience. It seems like the extraction shooter-esque stuff they tried with DMZ and stuff hasn't really taken off that much for them. But I think there's a genuine fan base now for open world zombies, right? Because there are some people that don't want them to go to round-based zombies again. As much as the greater community loves this round-based zombies thing, I think there's room to have both, with the yearly release games or the mainline games have like more the round-based thing, and then kind of keep the open world zombies as part of Warzone. Anyway, that would be my idea. So Raven and Call of Duty, Activision, Blizzard, Xbox, we've had good ideas in the past that you've taken. Maybe not directly from us, but I would like to see that happen. But
I think if you want to be able to delay them like that, I think Warzone needs to become even more of its own thing than it is.
yeah, separate it
they-
from the hub.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like it should be Raven fully developing it and get them more help, and then they make their seasons bigger and more sparsed out, because seasons feel like they're coming out every 3 weeks and nobody cares anymore. And then if Warzone is thriving in between, the 2-year gaps of the game, it won't be as big of a deal. And then yeah, for sure they could just build like a open world zombies mode that Raven handles inside Warzone. I think it could work. And the smart thing for Xbox to do would be like, this is an off year for Call of Duty. There's no new Call of Duty. This is when the next Halo will come out. Or there's no Call of Duty. This is when the Gears will come out this year.
Yeah.
So you bounce those off, and you don't have a Call of Duty come out a month away from a Gear 6 kind of a thing. So
Yeah, it'll be next
I like
year.
that
It'll be
idea.
interesting too, because like they got Doom next year. So I'll have Doom: The Dark Ages. I'll have Fable next year, South and Midnight next year, and Avowed now next year, plus more. I think there's maybe one or two other big games next year that we don't know about yet for the release schedule for Xbox. So if they do decide that next year is going to be the year they is an expansion year, if it let's say it is a Black Ops 2 sequel, I think that'll be genuine excitement for that as well. So, but if that's the case, then that chalk that up to another big release, right? But overall, I think there's room for them to have another big shooter franchise. I want to see Wolfenstein come back as well. I know that maybe Quake could do something at some point as well. But yeah, Halo and Gears are the two big ones, and I think it'll probably be a while before we see Halo again. It'll probably be 2026 at the earliest, unless there's some kind of unless that Certain Affinity game mode battle royale thing or whatever they were doing actually launches. But if not, then if they turned that into the next big Halo project, then probably 2026 at the earliest, I would say. So, Call of Duty is gonna have the limelight here for the holidays, the next 2 years, I think, for Xbox.
Yeah, and I think because Xbox has all these studios, I've always kind of wished, hey, give id Software Call of Duty for a year.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
Make it that would be insane. You have all these developers. I'm okay if they give Call of Duty to their other development teams. Hey, let's experiment. Let's try something new rather than just
spin-off franchises, different ideas, different things. I've always thought that would be really cool. I think it'd be cool to see what Infinity Ward could do with the Halo thing on the side, or or Treyarch, could do with a Gears thing or so. You just who knows, man. There's so many different cool things you could do with spin-offs and different ideas based on these franchises. One thing that Microsoft has tended to do is all right, these guys are our developer of this franchise. These guys are our developer of this franchise, right? As opposed to we have this franchise that's owned by Microsoft, and yeah, even though these guys were the stewards of it in the past, let's see who else can do some different cool shit. And part of the advantage for me of owning ZeniMax Bethesda, of owning ABK now, is saying, hey, how do we utilize all of this IP across all of our studios to make the IP stronger across the board? And they've done some cool stuff with Halo in the past. Halo Wars is obviously the big one. I see you, Chris. Me too. I loved Halo Wars. But that's been stagnant now for a long time because for whatever reason, right? I would love to see cool idea spin-offs, and I'm hoping that's something that we tend to see. And that's also something kind of maybe that they've alluded to recently with making this AA Blizzard studio, right? They said they're taking this teams from Blizzard and Activision and stuff to form this other studio that's going to be able to focus on smaller games, right? And maybe that's going to be able to do some of these kind of experiences. So, but that's what I hope. But they only have a certain amount of developers, even though they have a shit ton, and so can only make a certain amount of games, and they're making a ton of games right now. So, I kind of want to go through each one of you and get what your most anticipated game this year is. And you're not allowed to say Call of Duty. So it's something besides Black Ops. I want to go to Calarie first. From the Xbox portfolio, they have Age of Mythology, We're Told, Flight Simulator, Avowed's next year now. Indiana Jones. Is there a game that stands out to you you're most excited about coming up?
That's tough. I would say probably right now Indiana Jones. I just kind of play everything as it comes in Game Pass, but yeah, probably Indiana Jones for right now.
Yeah, I like what I've seen from it. What about you,
I
Brandon?
really love Tomb Raider, and I really liked the Uncharted games. So if it can even scratch an itch of those, I'll be pretty happy.
I'm interested because it's like a first person take on that genre, right?
Yeah.
Whereas before I was always like, oh, it's got to be third person. But now after seeing the gameplay and them doing first person, is like, it's kind of cool that it's like a first person variation of this genre I'm kind of familiar with. So I get to be Indiana Jones, and that makes it a little bit more exciting for me. What about you, Brandon? Number one game besides Call of Duty? You're not allowed to say COD. Coming from Xbox this year.
Can I pick two?
Sure, go for it.
Um, I'm also going to pick Indiana Jones because I'm a diehard indie fan and just looks really unique. It's like Wolfenstein, but let's put Indiana Jones in it, and that's just awesome
Mm-hmm.
because that Indiana Jones movie last summer was horrendous. It was terrible. It was not Indiana. It was not Indiana Jones. And the second one, I'm going to pick the Diablo expansion.
Okay.
I'm,
Yeah.
I'm trying to finish Diablo right now, and I'm just like, all right, I'm pretty hooked on the expansion right now. It looks pretty sweet.
Are y'all diving into the new season that just launched for Diablo, or are you kind of taking a break until the expansion comes out?
I'm playing a little bit of it here and there. It's a pretty decent update they did. I like it.
I got to like level, I don't know, 30 or something of the new season, but I'm gonna add to mine too is the new World of Warcraft expansion. I loaded it up today and I'm like, should I buy it? And I'm like, the game's just addicting, so I'm trying to tell myself no, but I'm sure I will end up playing it. So
And there's like
I
so
never got
many
into WoW.
ongoing games with Xbox, dude. It's like, it's pretty crazy. Like Starfield has a big expansion this year, right?
oh yeah, that's
So-
actually probably up there too.
That's like, you just keep going down the list. And one that's kind of jumps out to me that is actually Flight Sim. Because the more I keep seeing about the new Flight Sim, I'm like, wow, that actually is really cool and adding a lot of cool shit that I wanted to do in the other one. The developer actually mentioned that you're going to be able to get out and walk around the mountains and like sit on your favorite bench and watch the sunset and stuff. I'm like, just sounds pretty crazy, man. Like overall,
Flight Sim open world.
yeah, like this is nuts. I mean, I have to walk around and
That's
stuff.
awesome.
Yeah, like you'd think of it like, okay, everything's produced by the cloud, so you think going on the ground everything's just gonna look like shit, you know. But from what they've shown so far, like they found a way to make it look good when you're on the ground too. So I'm just trying to like fathom in my head like doing that, like helicopters, planes, jets, doing jobs, going around, doing different missions and stuff. Like with a game as gorgeous as Flight Simulator is, I think I could lose actually quite a bit of time just playing Flight Sim this year. And to think that we get a game like that on consoles, it's still mind blowing to me. Like this, there used to be like something unfathomable back in the day to think you would get a game like Flight Simulator that looks like that on a game console on a big screen TV, you know. So I might lose quite a bit of time just for Flight Sim this year. Pretty crazy.
I saw a still image today with like Flight Sim. You see like this like private jet flying over behind like a tornado,
Yeah.
and you're just like, is that real? Or is this just a game? It's just the technology you're using in it is absolutely insane.
Yeah. It's nuts.
Yeah. If I can find like 200 gigabytes on my SSD for it, I'll probably download it.
Yeah, that's the
But
only
it's
thing.
definitely a game that like there's so many games that if it's a game that you can't like beat, it's harder for me to get into the game. I'll probably play it for a few hours. But I did just remember Stalker 2. It's not an Xbox game, but I will probably play and beat Stalker 2 if it's anything better than a 7.
Yeah, right on.
Yes, Stalker looks good.
I forgot about that one too. That's a game that's gonna take a lot of hours. That was pushed back to November, right? So Avowed was pushed to February. Just in general, man, it's just like so many freaking games, and trying to find the time really for everything is really like the biggest challenge. for this year. Asian mythology retold. I could spend probably 100 at plus hours just playing that if I wanted to.
I read an article, I think it was from Windows Central, that they're saying good things about Ace Mythology. Like, it's going to be a good game.
Yep. Jez was talking about that today on their podcast with Rand and their preview for it. They're doing a review, I believe, and they're saying really good stuff. So
yeah, we're about to hit the stride of releases, man, because it's August now. So the next several months are just going to be absolutely loaded. You got some big third-party games coming out too. Star Wars Outlaws, Assassin's Creed Shadows, Black Myth Wukong is about
Space
to
Marine.
hit PlayStation. Yeah, Space Marine 2 is looking like insane. It's looking like a huge, big game that like kind of traditional old school style, like just tons of content, tons of modes, tons of fun, right? And looks like it's really well made too. So that game,
I'm on
Don't
the
forget about
boom.
Concord.
I think everybody's already forgotten about Concord. Games don't even.
I'm in
out yet.
agreement
Wish me
with
luck.
Boom that
I'm playing it.
I could have sworn that Space Marine 2 was going to Game Pass, like Boomstick was saying on his show. I went and looked on the internet for like 30 minutes, but I can't. Yeah, I don't know how I thought that was happening, but
That's because past Warhammer games, they had the Dark Tide and stuff like that. I think they've done like Total War Warhammer 3 hit PC Game Pass day one as well. So
Dark Tide did.
Yeah, traditionally they've had some deals with Warhammer games in the past, so it would make sense. But yeah, this one no, not so far at least.
I think Xbox has the marketing for it because they're going to show it at Gamescom, I heard.
Yeah.
Like their big partner. So who knows? They have surprised a lot of stuff in the Game Pass.
I'll let Hardgate give one of the codes away for it, and I'll get it in one of the chats. I think I've gotten like 3 or 4 games from him.
This is lurk all the Hardgate chats. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brett Bingham said in the chat, shout out to Brett, says Jez clarified that he thinks the AA studio is primarily for mobile games. It is made primarily of King devs. But that's like the one thing is like, do you consider mobile games AA? Or like just the verbiage of AA is what confused me there. Because I don't know, I don't consider games made for mobile like in that category. That's a term that's usually used for console releases.
That's what he said in the podcast, though. He said his source came to him and said he didn't like that he used the term AA, and it was not an appropriate term to use. So
right, okay, so maybe he's clarifying on that it's not AA or whatever. Okay,
so what do you declare mobile games in? Like 1A then, not AA, just 1A.
Mobile.
Yeah, they're in their own division.
Yeah, like just
unless it's
mobile.
like Diablo Immortal and you can play it on a PC. That's like the only exception.
Yeah, but even that, like it. Okay, so I installed Diablo Immortal to play on my tablet, and you can play it with a controller, right?
Yeah.
But it plays weird and like shit with a controller. Like,
is Diablo's Immortal like Diablo, or is it like a different technique to it?
Kinda. It's
like Diablo, but
it's more mobile-y.
Yeah.
And like
you gotta buy everything.
And like I have a big tablet, right? It's like a 12 something inch tablet. I have like a Samsung like one, right? And something with mobile games is for me personally, like they need to make a couple of changes for mobile. They need to make the games look better natively on bigger screens. And a lot of games need to have a mode where it goes in landscape mode. Because some of them just force it into portrait. So if you have like a tablet that you have like a keyboard attachment to, and you like to set it up there like in landscape and play like that way, like a normal display, some of them force it like with the vertical thing, and you have the bars on the side, and it just looks like crap. And then a lot of them don't have controller support also for mobile games, and so you got to like seek certain games that have controller support, and even if they do, it's kind of janky. And then if they do support the bigger screen, a lot of times it's still blurry, right? And you're talking about running on a tablet that should be able to run like everything super high quality and stuff. It's just that they make these games to run on the shittiest devices possible, for obvious reasons. But like to get mobile gaming to where I like to see it. I would like to see more native controller support and kind of treat them like, hey, this is also a great experience if you want to play it in a more traditional way. Because a lot of people have tablets, a lot of people have these things and a controller, or they use a backbone or whatever and all that kind of stuff. And that's the next evolution for me, to push that forward, as opposed to getting everybody used to playing touchscreen on small screens, right? Anyway, it just seems like gaming on the go, you have so many more options if the games were built more for better devices. So
It'd be
I think
interesting.
they're trying to
like,
work on that too.
yeah,
with,
I know
with
they
like
are
King
with like
and
with not Ubisoft, with Capcom doing the Resident Evil stuff and things like that.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is like with ABK now, and you have stuff like Diablo Immortal, and King. I think Xbox has an opportunity to take some of like their less intensive mobile games and do full ports to mobile. And then you can just use the cloud controls that you've already built, but it's not cloud, it's running native. So like imagine Pentiment as a native for your phone, or Hi-Fi Rush even could probably run on some of the phones now, and then have controller support. I think that's a missed opportunity that hopefully they're
Yeah.
gonna look into.
Yeah, I would play more on my tablet with native games if it was a better experience. But instead, I get a better experience doing console streaming and like Steam. What's it called? Streaming for Steam.
It's like Steam Link or
Yeah,
something like
Steam, yeah,
that.
Steam Link. I do that. I do that sometimes too. Or I just play from the cloud on Game Pass, and those are a better experience than actually playing the games natively on my tablet. Right, which
They
is what
probably just
shouldn't
haven't
be the
wanted to.
case, right? I mean, playing natively on my tablet should be the best
Yeah,
solution, but it's not.
give us the cloud experience but native. And I don't think they've done it because they don't want to give Apple and Google, so much control over
Hmm.
their games. So, and we'll see if this mobile store ever launches. It missed its target, but if it does launch, hopefully we'll start seeing some native Android and iOS versions of games that we can play.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what they do with all that stuff, especially if they do release the handheld with Xbox, and to see how that kind of does a little bit of a crossover between the mobile segment and stuff as well.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm excited to see the future for the platform there.
I'm looking forward to that Xbox handheld
Oh,
just to see, like what can you learn from the Steam Deck, the ROG Ally, was it the Lenovo Go?
Yeah,
That
yeah,
other one
Lenovo
that's
Go.
called?
yeah.
Just
Yep.
take all those and just make it better all in one. I just want to see like the battery life, the UI on it. I just want to see their version. It'd be exciting to see.
I
They
think
have an opportunity.
I think the best case scenario for me is if they got the handheld out sooner than later and kind of did a first iteration of it, like let's say next year, right? The power equivalent for like how the games perform and look would be equivalent to a Series S, right? Which should be fine, especially on a smaller handheld screen. Have a separate dock available to where you can kind of make it into a Series S if you want to actually put it on your TV. But have it to where all the games can play natively, because if the Series S level is your benchmark there, the games are already all set to support that, right? So if you have that kind of set as your metric there for development, there's not really any more reaching or any other crazy things the developers have to do to try and meet that standard. You have that kind of, it's like your handheld Series S or whatever. And then that can cross the gap of the generations, like between this gen and next gen. Um, as opposed to where a lot of people are saying is like, hey, just launch a super high end handheld at the start of next gen. For me, I'm like, that might hold kind of things back power wise for like what the next generation is going to be. Because if you meet that metric then and say this has to be supported all the way through, then we've already seen what happened this generation with the Series S. Could imagine that with a handheld next gen. I'd rather them kind of bridge the gap between this generation and next gen, and then let's say like 3 or 4 years into next generation, when games start going next gen only, finally, then you are ready for the next handheld, right? Because
Yeah.
they've been supporting for the most part even multiplats and everybody Almost every game is last gen this anyway as well right now. So there would be no reason why that wouldn't be the same next generation as well, right? So
Yeah.
that's the best way to do it, I think. And then you could still, like, 2026 launch your next generation, or 2027 your next generation Xbox, and hey, the games are still playable on handheld version for the Series S version or whatever, and then you have the high end for the people that want the big console enthusiasts and stuff. And you know, that's the best way I can do it, because otherwise, what you're gonna have at launch, next generation, is a crazy expensive handheld that will be very underpowered at the end of the development, at the end of the generation, right? So anyway, that's what I'd like to see, but it's just my idea.
You hit the nail on the head there. Like, that is the only way to do it. Because think about why the Nintendo Switch was so successful. The Nintendo Switch is literally the power of like a PS4 base or an Xbox One, but because it came out in 2017 and those consoles have been out for 4 years, people are like, "Wow, this is running the same games that a PS4 could run," and so they were amazed by it. And we're seeing the same thing now with the ROG Ally and the Steam Deck. People are amazed that it's running, PS5 and Xbox Series games, but the early gen versions of the games. My ROG Ally now, I can't play Alan Wake 2 on it. I can't play most of the new games coming out. I tried what's that game that just came into Game Pass, the Souls like Flintlock? Can't play it on it. It's
Whatnot?
like, yeah, it's like 20 FPS with the lowest settings. And that's what's going to happen to Xbox handheld. If they release it at the beginning of the gen, mid-gen, it's going to not be able to play the more games. But if you release it in the middle of the gen, you just get it till the next gen, and then, you'll have to stream a few games that come out probably to it, or cloud versions, or it'll just run really bad. But then you have the new handheld come out mid-gen. So I completely agree. That's the only way to do it. Otherwise, you're
Yeah,
not going
I
to be able to
think
support
having
the
that
device.
Series S metric, it would make it easier for the development, like, because it's like, hey, you're already having to develop for this anyway, so that's your kind of level that you got to hit
Yeah,
for your
and you have
minimum.
3 years of technology improvement, because
Right.
3 years of technology improvement's a huge deal, and that's why you could take a PS4 and Xbox One power and put it into a Switch, and now a PS5 and put it into a ROG Ally, because there's been that 3-year gap. But if you do it at the beginning of the gen, you're not gonna have
Oh,
that, and it's gonna
and
kill
if you
it.
did, it would be crazy expensive, right? Like,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
my thinking on it. But, like, we'll see what they do.
yeah.
It's gonna be
I agree with
interesting.
you. It's the only way to go.
Well, for cost wise as well, like, to make it actually, like, feasible for most people to be able to purchase, like, as an option.
Yeah, their way forward is pretty obvious. They're gonna go ARM-based and use that Auto SR. I don't know if you guys watched the Digital Foundry thing about it, but
It's
Yeah.
impressive.
Copilot. It is impressive. They'll just they'll hard lock that tablet or the handheld to 720p, but it'll upscale up to, I'm guessing, a 1080p screen, and it looks really good. So they will be able to get more juice out of it than what you're expecting, and then ARM will have better battery life, better performance per, power. I think we've got a way forward. I'm excited. Yeah, handheld is the way to go, but I do hope they put thumb like mouse pads on it like the Steam Deck has, because those are really
Yeah.
nice.
So what are they called? Like the trackpads?
The trackpads, yeah, they're very
And
useful.
do you guys think Xbox is kind of learning from Nintendo, during the Wii U situation of just, their consoles, you can say like their console's not doing well, but we know what people want, what they like, and look what Nintendo did. They went to like full handheld, but like a hybrid, and it just skyrocketed like Rocket Man.
Right.
Do you think
And
Xbox is learning from
Well,
that?
Wii U only sold, like, what, 13 million total, even over,
yeah,
like, its
Yeah, it was
lifespan.
like
So,
13.
like, that was just an absolute travesty for them, and, like, failure on marketing, failure on
naming.
letting people know what it was different and better even than the Wii. Like, people just, they didn't even show the console, they just showed the pad. So people
The
just
tablet.
thought it was just an add-on to the Wii. I think a lot of people, like, there was hardly anybody that even knew this thing existed. Like, they just, marketing wise, marketing it as a new console is where they dramatically failed. Marketing as a new generation for Nintendo, right? The
Mhm.
Switch I think you hit the money on the head with this, though, is that they learned from themselves, though. But I think what they decided to do was merge their two markets because they've been Nintendo was like, for their history, they had a console and they had a handheld ever since the Game Boy and the NES, right? So they had two customers. Had their handheld customer, then they had their console customer. You know, and their console business was always more up and down, but their handheld business was always strong and grew. Like the DS to 2DS to 3DS was crazy successful. But what people don't realize is that was going on at the same time as like the Wii, right? So if you combine the amount of sales of the Wii, which sold like astronomical, and the sales of like the 2DS, 3DS, DS era, like, I mean, it sold way more than what the combined what the Switch is selling, right? It's just because you had your handheld customers and you had your console customers. Where they failed was they were still servicing really great with their handheld, but they failed to embrace and really show their console customers like this is why you need the new Nintendo console, the next generation Nintendo console. They didn't have any great stuff to really show until it was time to release the Switch. They moved on from the Wii U. They released the Switch and said, okay, we're scrapping all this. That's when they had their big games. They had Zelda, they had the new Mario, and they were showcased, this is why you need this. But those games were also playable on a Wii U, right? So it was about marketing and them saying, okay, we're done with trying with this now. Instead, we're just going to have one device that we can sell to the console players, market to them, but also it's really our handheld, right? Because they stopped support on the 3DS and all that stuff. They stopped making shit for it. So here's our handheld, but hey, guess what, console gamers, this is for you too. My issue for the Switch was that it never serviced the traditional console gamers very well. It was more of a handheld gamer's device that was also a console. But I think this new Switch will be even better for console gamers. But overall, it's sold great because it's a handheld, right?
Yep.
But it's a Nintendo handheld. Every Nintendo handheld sells amazing. And it was the only one available for a long time. And they service both the handheld market and the console market. If it wasn't a handheld device and had the same features and level of power and the same price as only a console, it's worse than a Wii U.
Yep.
Because the Wii U had more features, right? Like,
a lot of people forget that they had to split their game development studios. So they had half their studios working on mobile games and half the studios working on consoles. But like this new Mario and Luigi Brothership, that would have always only been a handheld game.
So now the games are releasing for the one device.
Everything on the Switch. Yeah, and so that's what Xbox should learn from Nintendo, is to focus on your strengths and not do ancillary stuff that does nothing for you.
Well,
so,
PlayStation's learning that too, like PSVR 2 and all that shit that they've been doing, right? So
supposedly the Portal sold amazing. I don't know if I believe that, but that's what people were saying.
But I mean, even if it's sold well as like a gimmicky accessory device, it doesn't really add much to the platform, right? Like,
I tried a Portal.
Thoughts, feelings?
It sucks. It's not good.
I mean, I would just rather use my phone and a backbone than buy a separate $200 device that isn't as good.
Yeah, exactly. I'd rather use my phone, my tablet, my laptop, anything else.
Yeah.
The Portal, like, it's people say, "Oh, the screen is so great," and I'm like, I don't know what the heck you guys are looking at. It's pretty crunchy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a really good device.
Nintendo has one more tweak, like one more surprise in them for this new Switch. Something about it that like
backwards compatibility.
If it doesn't have backwards compatibility, I'm not buying it, because like I have over like 100 physical Switch games that I'm waiting to play on a Switch that can actually handle them and not run at 20 frames per second. So I'm not going to buy it if it's not backwards. But no, I want them to do something like make the dock have a GPU in it. Something that like, takes handhelds to the next level that Microsoft can maybe copy a little bit. Because If it's just a more powerful Switch, I think that's fine for the first 2 years, but 2 years after it comes out, Mav will be ranting about how Nintendo power sucks and can't play
Well,
any
I
first
just
party
want to be
games.
able to read the fucking words. I've had very little arguments. Like, I think they have great games, but if
Yeah.
I put it on a big screen and the shit looks like it was on a tube TV from 1995, and I'm sitting that far away from it, like on a big screen, like I want it to, I want it to look normal, like
Yep, I agree
I
with
don't
you.
want them to be
I feel ya.
Xbox or PlayStation level, like graphics.
Yeah.
It'd be amazing, but I'm not expecting that. But I don't. Everybody's hyped for Metroid 4, Prime 4. I saw that. I'm like, fuck. I played Halo 4 on the 360. It looked way better.
Yep.
It's the same
Yep.
art style, same everything. Controls looked, the movement that they showed, and like I was like, oh my god, this looks horrible for me. Like I just
Crazy
want it to be current, somewhat.
crazy thought about what we talked about earlier. Halo 4 is a better Call of Duty than some of the Call of Duties that Sledgehammer has come out with. So I'd be all for 343 making a Call of Duty game.
Yeah, with loadouts and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, they literally made like Halo 4 and 5 Call of Duty. So
Halo 4 is underrated, in my opinion.
Yeah, 4 is awesome.
Yeah. Man, that
like
game
all the
had
Halo
no
games.
right looking as good as it did on a 360. It's just graphically is mind blowing. You go back and play that. Halo 5, I thought was, I got a lot of flack for the campaign, obviously with all the Cortana stuff, but overall I still thought it was a really well made game. Like they had great graphics, they had great gameplay, the multiplayer suite, they had a lot of stuff there. But people have such crazy high expectations for Halo that everything has to meet every mark. But that's kind of the same with Call of Duty. Like, with everything has to meet every mark for the community. And it's rare that you get the amount of excitement across all metrics for what fans or expectations are. That's kind of why I wanted to have the conversation about Call of Duty today. Is just because like it seems like it's actually hitting on all that with the core fan base, right? But like Halo, I don't know if it'll ever do that. I don't know if you can ever make everybody happy with a Halo game again.
Did you hear that Ryan Reynolds interview with Wolverine where they said their first idea for Deadpool versus Wolverine was going to be like a alpha cop movie that had a horrible poster and it was
Yeah.
two cops, one brain. What if they did that and they made like an Infinite Warfare 2 and it's made by Infinity Ward and they market it using all of Activision's crazy money and you go load it up and you're playing as Master Chief.
It's like a Halo game.
I think it would. Yeah, it's a Halo game in the future, but it would sell so much because Activision actually markets their games.
Yeah, it's. I mean, if you take Halo Infinite, right, and you just block it out of your mind, hey, this is what to expect. Halo, all this stuff. You play it, not knowing any history of anything. It plays better than any multiplayer shooter this generation or last. I 100% will put my money on that every single time. Gameplay wise, Halo Infinite beats everything shooter wise for maybe ever. It's just insanely well made for multiplayer and the feel of the combat and everything that they're doing. It's just this mentality that kind of infects people to like, what should I play because what's popular, what are people talking about? And it's something that Halo is going to always have a hard time to overcome just because of the history of the franchise and everything.
Do you think it's time for a reboot?
I think the only way to really generate that kind of excitement again is if you take things back to the ground and like say this completely new take and get people talking in a different way about it, because you have to erase the expectations of everything previous.
Yeah.
And the only way to do that is if you tear everything down and start from ground zero again. And because you have to start with zero expectations. They have to have more content than anybody else. They have to have more modes than anybody else. They have to have it all at launch. And they have to have a great cadence of content coming out afterwards. They have to have a full-fledged big campaign. They have to have split-screen co-op. They have to have online co-op. You know, they have to have everything under the sun, and hardly any games can even manage 2 modes like that are that well made these days, right? But Halo has to have everything. They have to have Forge fully complemented at launch, because if anything is not there, it's incomplete, right? But meanwhile, you have other big franchises that don't have those expectations that people are like, okay, that's fine, right? A good example was, hey, here's Ghost of Tsushima, amazing game. Oh, guess what? 3 months later, there's a free online edition for co-op, right? Oh, surprise. Well, if that was an expectation that was going to be there at launch, and then it was delayed, then you disappoint people. But the fact that it's never even mentioned and it's a surprise later makes it a good thing instead of a negative, right? Like, there's ways of doing things and marketing things and twisting things that certain companies have always been really good at. Microsoft sets really high expectations, and sometimes they fail to meet them, right? And sometimes that's on themselves, right? As a business, you always want to underpromise and overdeliver. Sometimes Microsoft overpromises and underdelivers, right? Telling their fans everything they want to hear to generate the excitement, and then like, oh hey, but we're gonna have to wait on this. Oh hey, we're gonna have to wait on this. Oh hey, we're gonna have to wait on this. But some of it's because of the expectations of the fan base too, right? That they have to feel like they have to meet all those metrics. But yeah, it's just a hard place to be, man. Gears is the same way. Gears has that community where they expect a great horde mode, great co-op, great multiplayer, like great campaign. And if you don't have it all at launch, and if you fail on any metric, it's going to be a huge L, right? Just hardly any franchises, any games can even manage to launch with all that content anymore. Call of Duty is one of the only ones. And it takes like 10 studios to make one, right? Like, you have High Moon, you have Toys for Bob in the past, you had Raven, you had Treyarch, Sledgehammer, Infinity Ward. Across the board, almost every developer at Activision working on these games as support in some form or fashion, right?
Well, they have like an entire town working on Call of Duty, pretty much.
Right.
They have like over like I think now like 5,000 people working on it.
Yeah, it's just
insane.
like it's just the monumental task of doing that, and it's even recreating that scenario of being able to organize all that together to be able to accomplish putting a game out every year as big as Call of Duty is insane these days. With how long it takes to make games now. The fact that Activision has been able to hodgepodge these games together sometimes, or even for a year, to have the quality that they're still been able to hit is pretty insane. When we see other games take 7-8 years now and like come out and they're still half baked. So I don't know. Activision is a different beast, dude.
I really hope that Xbox owning ABK will let them look at the return on investment they're getting from their public, like their marketing. Because I just can't imagine. Like, imagine if Gears E-Day had the same marketing push that like a Call of Duty does, where you release like then you do campaign details, and then you do multiplayer details, and then you fly 200 like streamers out and they play the game together in a huge venue that's rented out for their Call of Duty Next or whatever they do. And you have all these beats throughout the year. And yeah, they spend like I've heard something like they spend the same amount of budget on marketing that they do on the game development or something.
Yeah.
But
It's insane.
worth it, man.
Mhm.
That's how you make sure it's successful. I just
Well, they have those trailers and the commercials with all the celebrities and all this other kind of crazy shit too and stuff. Like, yeah, I think I think Xbox needs to learn from that. You know, I mean, ZeniMax Bethesda has better marketing too, and has even since they've been part of Xbox, they've shown that still their marketing has been superior than the Xbox's own first party stuff. But it's all starting to blend now. I think Tina Amini's doing the direct stuff and doing the showcases has been good for those teams too, because like the direct we got for Black Ops 6, I know the Call of Duty community loved that as well, right? So that was something that they weren't used to seeing. So overall, like, I think they can help each other and figure this out. But yeah, they need to take that Call of Duty approach that they've done with marketing these games every year, take it to Halo, take it to Gears, take it to some of these other games and franchises as well, because I think it'd be beneficial.
Just try it once, man. If you take the loss, you take the loss, but you gotta try it at least once. But yeah, I agree.
I want to see
I
want to see a Fallout multiplayer shooter come out right now.
That'd be interesting. An extraction shooter?
Yeah. Or just some kind of Fallout. Like, why not? Like, it's like one of the most popular IPs in the world right now. And it has been this year ever since the show. And if you came out with some kind of game or some kind of multiplayer thing that can be competitive, it'd be fucking interesting.
When you said that, I immediately thought of like Resistance from the PS3.
Yeah.
There could be something there for sure.
Mm-hmm.
You could do like expansive content too. You could have like Elder Scrolls type thing, a melee multiplayer game. You could have like a Starfield, like more of a spacey multiplayer game. I just, there's so many things that they could do, man. They have all the teams for it. I want to see them expand, but we'll see. Do y'all think there's anything to this WB stuff that's been going on? So WB supposedly is either thinking of licensing out all of their IP to other studios to be able to make games, or potentially WB may end up selling their games divisions. And a lot of people have been talking about now, hey, what about Xbox? Because they've been in the talks before. Is this... I'll go to you first, Brandon, on this. Is this something you think Xbox should explore, or is this you think they're kind of good with what they got?
That's a tough question. I think it might be hard for them to get WB because look what they went through with ABK for like 2 years.
Oh, yeah.
Because I know ABK is a lot bigger, but I think you have to think of like the government is kind of like the FTC's on their radar now of anything they do. So it's such a hard question because it's like, heck yeah, I would like Xbox to buy WB because that's more to my Game Pass. You know, more value, more stuff I get to play. But I don't think it's going to happen. I think with them buying this, I think it's just we have all these studios. And we have the FTC on our back. I don't think they can, but I think they should try to license out some of the products, like some Batman game. Be kind of legit. Like think of Arcane doing like a Batman or like a Superman would be kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was thinking like Ninja Theory would be pretty cool to see them do like a Batman game or something.
Yeah, Ninja Theory would be pretty sweet.
The graphics that they could do with like a Batman game,
it'd be insane.
It'd be pretty interesting. I mean, they've done fast fluid combat and stuff before too, right? Numerous times.
Devil May Cry.
Yeah, they had DMC. They had Bleeding Edge. They had back Heavenly Sword.
Heavenly
back
Sword.
In the day. Yeah, so they can they definitely can do whatever kind of game. There's so many different studios. Like, yeah, you're right. I think maybe they could get a deal with WB at least to be kind of like whatever Insomniac and Sony has with Spider-Man. You know, do Batman franchise, like multiple games. Like we know that at least some of the teams at ZeniMax Bethesda have been doing licensed games because they're doing Indiana Jones, they do Blade. There's rumors about ZeniMax Online's game being a licensed IP as well.
I've been hearing rumors that might be like a Mandalorian, Star Wars, something like that.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Game.
Me and Pong we just cannot wait till that game's announced. We just got to know what it is because I think it's going to be a big deal when it is. But what do you think, Calarie? You think they should go after them and acquire them and do licensed games, or you think they're just focused on what they got?
I don't think they should acquire them, even if there's like a more favorable FTC next year. I just think the EU and the CMA will be too difficult. Um, that being said, obviously the obvious ones like Neversoft, which is fine. If we are making a Killer Instinct 2, you pull Neversoft in, you get it done faster,
Another
make like
another
a more
another realm.
sorry, NeverRealm.
Yeah.
Neversoft is Tony Hawk, and they're not here anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, NeverRealm, and yeah, do Mortal Kombat versus Killer Instinct, and it would be awesome. But even I feel like even if they bought them, they'd still get a fight, and it'd be difficult. I think the most underutilized IP right now that Microsoft should go after is Harry Potter. Um, there's a single studio that made Hogwarts Legacy that's owned by like a Swedish holding company, which is what is it? Criteria. I can't remember their name right now, but Avalanche
hmm
Studios. But the new HBO series is coming out. That's gonna probably blow up. It's like a 10-year project, so you could start a Harry Potter game and probably get it done halfway through the life cycle of that series. I think that's what they should do. Um, DC would be great and everything, but I would wait to start a DC project to see how the James Gunn DC
Superman.
universe starts out. Because if the James Gunn universe doesn't do very well, I wouldn't want to make games for it. But
Right. Yeah, that's one thing. It's supposed to be connected, right? Like all the
yeah,
games and movies, everything is supposed to be in this shared universe, and it's supposed to be like labeled to be able to identify like this is part of the universe or whatever. So
yeah, the leaks for the Superman movie do not have me excited. It doesn't look good to me. But that's not James
Okay.
Gunn really, so we'll see how he does. But I think yeah, they should do something. And I mean, eventually the market has to correct, right? And hopefully Xbox can get back on the investing foot instead of the just trying to keep a profit, which
yeah.
is all they've been doing for the last year or two.
Yeah. I know the one franchise that Warner Brothers has, I wish they would bring back is Fear.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Do they own
Monolith.
that?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah, just bring that back. Like, I like Harry Potter, I like DC, but it's like, you have Fear. Please make it.
That was so original, that horror first person shooter thing, and they had the slow motion, and like the physics of that game were fantastic, and they had the random jump scares and stuff like that too, like with Alma.
Mhm.
Fear 2 literally made me like scream a couple times just because random shit. Like I would be like walking like outside of, or going into the school, and I would be there. I'm looking around, and where I just looked, I look away, and then I happen to look back at the same spot, but there's Alma all of a sudden out of nowhere in the place I had just looked. Right, so it's like that kind of stuff is like actually like screamed like verbally and dropped the controller and shit. Like the game was so amazing. What they did with it. Yeah, I want to see that come back in a big way. That'd be really cool. But
I still play Fear 2 and 3 on my Series X here and there, and they still look pretty good for
yeah,
a 360 game.
fantastic games, man. Um, there's a lot of games that still hold up now, especially with all the stuff that Xbox has done with the backwards compatibility stuff, with the resolution boost or FPS boost and all that kind of stuff, right? So,
Mhm.
yeah. And speaking of, we yesterday just randomly at QuakeCon they gave us enhanced editions of Doom 1 and 2 into Game Pass with extra content and stuff, which was really freaking cool. I actually played a little bit last night. Um, I just love shit like that, man. Like, I don't think enough people talk about that, like, because that's really game preservation there. They had Night Dive involved with it as well, which is cool to see. It's a good studio. But yeah, it's taking these classic franchises and just put them up to date, release it for, it's like $10 to buy both of them if you want to own them, or it's in Game Pass. Here you go. Or if you already own it, here's a free update as well. And that's just cool, man.
Xbox is very good.
Yeah, nobody else.
Xbox is
Who
good
else
at
does that?
preserving games.
What other publisher does that?
PC.
Yeah.
I mean, emulators and all that.
But yeah, PC if you do it yourself with emulators and mods and all that kind of stuff, right? But like as far as like a company, like there's nobody doing stuff like that. I don't think
No.
Xbox gets enough credit, and Microsoft for those kind of things, right?
Have you noticed? Every year at QuakeCon, they like bring back like an old Bethesda game.
Mm-hmm.
Like Quake One, Quake Two,
Yeah,
and then
last year
Doom.
was Quake. They did the same thing. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'm thinking next year we might get like Quake 3 and Quake 4 because I think Quake 3, 4 was like what Activision at the time. Am I right? Like they had like some of the IP. Was it Quake 4?
I don't remember. I remember there's one of them that they had trouble with being able to do because of the publishing, and it might have been Activision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I have like an idea of like next year's QuakeCon, they might bring back like Quake 4 or something remastered. Just
Yeah. Quake 4 was
try.
developed by Raven and owned by Activision.
Yep.
Hmm.
That would be cool. I would like to play Quake 4 again.
Anybody that didn't watch QuakeCon, Limited Run is doing a new release of the Super Nintendo version of Doom, like the original Doom. But the original developer for it went and like added 4 new levels and added like a bunch of new features that he couldn't get into the game back in like 1996. So it's kind of cool. It's like going to be a physical cartridge you can play on a Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
That's sweet.
Yeah, that's cool. If I still had it in a Nintendo.
That's like the one retro console I don't have. I sold it when I was broke.
Yobi says, "Did we see the mods showcase video Bethesda dropped for Skyrim and Starfield? I saw that the creation video where they had a bunch of the mods and stuff. Yeah, there's some cool shit there, man.
I hope that Doom mod is more than just like a little quest line, but it looked cool.
Yeah, there's like so much cool stuff, man. And it's just early on with Starfield too. Like Starfield's gonna get so many cool mods over the years. I kind of think about like 6-7 years from now, like what Starfield will be and what you could do and everything. Like it's gonna be nuts. I love what they're doing with these franchises, and it seems like Xbox has made the right moves with acquiring the right publishers to add to their portfolio here, because like customer service wise and support for the games, they hit the nail on the head there. So looking forward to it, man. As far as Call of Duty, I think this is going to be the biggest year for Call of Duty in a very long time, if not maybe the most played Call of Duty ever at launch. And I think it's going to be up there again. But I want to thank you guys for hopping in with me today. This was it was a fun show because this is like the first show I think in like forever since we started that I don't have any of the regular panel here. But you guys are like really did amazing and helped me with the show. So thanks for filling in today. But yeah, Calarie, man. Thanks for being here. I want to say you've been awesome, and I got to have you on again. But tell everybody where they can find you, bro.
Yeah, just hit me up, guys. Thanks for having me on the show. It's always a blast. Love being in the chat whenever I can. You guys can hit me up at Twitter. I think my handle is just Calarie10.
Yeah, I got it on the
YouTube
description
channel
as well.
Perfect. I got a YouTube channel with some like random videos on it. A lot of like random Tongan stuff as a language I speak that nobody else speaks. But yeah, and if you like any of my writing on Windows Central and you want some freelance writing jobs or something, let me know. Thanks for having me on, man.
Cool. Thanks, Calarie. Appreciate it, dude. And Brandon Martin, dude, you've been awesome as well. Thanks for hopping on today. First time being on a podcast. You're absolutely awesome as well. So I appreciate you being here and this being your first. It's I always love to see that. We've had several people where this has been like their first podcast, you know, to be on before. That now some other people have their own podcast and all this other kind of stuff. So it's great to see when somebody comes here for the first time. But appreciate you, bro. Tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter. It's at BrandonMart32, and I usually just post like gaming stuff and funny videos and all that. And thanks for having me on. I had a good time.
Yeah, right on, man. I appreciate you, and hey, we gotta play some more Call of Duty sometime soon. I've been getting the itch a little bit. But I gotta get off
Why don't
those.
you do like a live stream for the Black Ops 6 beta when it comes out? That'd be kind of fun.
Yeah, I'll do that for sure. I gotta get out of those small. I gotta play something other than shipment and stuff. I gotta get out of those damn container maps, man. Like it's a bloodbath.
Man, I recommend ranked play. That's mostly all I play, and it's just so much better.
I can't camp on those.
Well, but it's so nice to have 4 people, no crazy abilities. It's just teamwork, and you play with the gun in your hand, and that's it. But
Yeah, I hear you. But you guys rock. Appreciate you. And hey, chat, you guys have been absolutely awesome tonight. Thanks for watching episode 195 of Xbox Ultimate Podcast. And I hope y'all have a great one. I might do a Ken Bardu stream this weekend if I feel up to it. My voice, I think, is actually to the point now where I can talk at length without hacking and stuff. So that's good. So maybe I'll do the stream this weekend. If not, I'll see you guys on Monday for FSP at 10 p.m. Eastern time. And I hope you all have a great night. Peace out, everyone. Thanks.